Of course, the Phillies lose the series to the Nationals and then are coming back and winning this series against the Tampa Bay Rays. The Bryson Stott show last night. We're going to talk Phillies today. We're going to talk Daryl Morey trolling the Sixers fans, the Eagles, whatever else comes up in the conversation. I got my man Pat Bernard here with me today. Trending in the AM. It starts in 30 seconds. And a very good morning, everybody, and welcome to Trending in the AM right here on Philadelphia Sports Network. We're live, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. You know the drill. Like, share, retweet, follow. Tell a friend, turn the notifications on, do whatever you can to tell everybody. This is the number one morning show in the Philadelphia area, and it's the only morning show where your opinions actually matter. We've got a lot on the agenda today. We got Phillies, Sixers, maybe a little Eagles and Flyers and Union. Who knows? Because we got a special guest here today with me. Pat Bernard, edge of Philly sports. I mean, he literally covers everything for them there. I mean, he does a wrestling show. He covers the Wings, the Union. You name it, he does it. Good morning, Pat. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Phil. Thank you so much for having me on. It's a great opportunity for Philly Sports Network. I'm glad to be on with you guys.
I appreciate it. Well, the way we do this, we start the conversation, and wherever these guys want to go, that's where we go. Like I'll say we talk Phillies. Then who knows what'll come up when Johnny Chatter or whatever his name is this week comes into the comment section. He might bring up the USFL Philadelphia Stars. You just never know what's going to come up in the conversations. But I know you're a big Phillies guy. You do the Phillies post-game show when you can there at Edge of Philly Sports. So last night was a really good game, a really good performance from the Phillies last night. I like to call it the Bryson Stott show. Pat, can you imagine that literally a little over a year ago, Bryson Stott was demoted by Joe Girardi, and now he's hitting 304. I was talking on Twitter last night. The fact that he's not getting some consideration, I know there's some really great second basemen having great seasons this year. The fact that Bryson Stott is not having any consideration, not even in the conversation at all for the All-Star game, is kind of disappointing because he's turning him into a hell of a second baseman and a hell of a baseball player.
Phil, to piggyback everything you just said, this is the one thing that's, like you said, scratching your head. So Girardi looked at him as this utility player, this fill-in kind of guy from AAA, and again, under Rob Thompson, he's been a beast from the jump, right? So this guy goes on just about a 20-game hitting streak. We all know the story with him. He's breaking records. He's become this ultimate small ball hitter that we didn't see coming. So for him to not get any kind of consideration to go in the All-Star game, just one Philly gets the nod here. It's a little, it has me scratching my chest here a little bit because I'm
the Marlins guys having a great season. You got
yes.
There's a lot of great second basemen, but man, at least just mention the guy's name that he's close. You know what I mean?
Right. And again, he's a top 10 hitter. He's an overall offensive player right here. He's got numbers. I mean, his numbers speak volumes. Again, him and how do you want it? Like you said, last night's game, 4 for 5. I mean, and making, again, every time he comes to a plate, whether it's a clutch situation, he comes out, he distributes. And right now, you can't ask for a better Bryson Stott. Between him and Alec Bohm last night, it was a 1-2 punch. How do you want it? Again, they set the tone of the game. Bryson Stott with a double, Alec Bohm with a double. Again, getting you on the scoreboard. I mean, this is what you need. And to my man Eric here, it's true. I mean, we are like we are like the stepchild here to Philadelphia sport, to all Major League Sports. I mean, it's a shame. Like you said, the guy doesn't even get a nod. Okay, it's like we have to. It's like a participation prize. Okay, we just got to let at least one Philly in just to keep the Philly fans happy. I mean, it's a shame how they treat my man here because he's been really their bright spot in their offensive lineup between him and Castellanos.
I mean, 9th in the league in base hits this year at this moment after last night's 4 for 5. On a side note, because you just mentioned something, and you mentioned a little tidbit there that I picked up on that just wants me to get totally off topic for a second. And I planned on Monday show being part of my MLB All-Star conversation and how
Mhm.
whenever there's an All-Star game in sports, I complain and bitch and moan nonstop on this show about how much I hate the All-Star festivities of all the sports. But man, I hate how baseball requires one player from every team to make it because it keeps guys like Bryson Stott off of a roster when he should be. It's got to be in my mind one of the worst parts of all the five major sports, all-star festivities that you have to have. Like the Oakland Athletics. Is there really a guy on the Oakland Athletics that really needs to be representing that team
No.
in the All-Star game? No. It has got to be one of the dumbest things that pisses me off every single year.
Right. That a national no, like and I get it. It's become now a popularity contest. Like they had advertised on the cover of MLB.com, they had Bryce Harper, and I love Bryce Harper. Don't get me wrong, but let's not talk like he's having and look, and he's mentally frustrated of his performance. You see him; he's swinging at bad pitches. I don't know because they rushed him up here from the injury. I thought he was going to, but in his mind, he's supposed to be here. He's supposed to be that all-star caliber player, and he's not. Like right now, if you want to talk about MVP caliber players right now, it's not him; it's Castellanos, and again, but back to Bryson Stott, he's been putting up numbers since the bell rang. You know what I mean? Since opening day, and this guy is really one of your workhorses to this lineup. Again, one of the main reasons you are now in the seat that you're in. Okay, you're in that last seated bogus wild card spot, if you want to call it that. But you're one of the you're there. You're in the driver's seat for it.
No, absolutely. And you bring up Castellanos, who obviously well deserved All-Star nomination. He obviously should. And people, I'll let you know. I don't know if you caught this. What is up, Judd? How you doing this morning? We're talking Phillies now. We will get to Sixers, maybe a little Eagles later on the show, Judd. But people laughed at me on this show when I said, because I make a $5 bet on every one of the four major Philly sports teams to win the MVP every single year. And this year, my choice to win the league MVP in baseball was Nick Castellanos. It was 100-1. I dropped $5.
Really?
He's probably not going to win it. There are guys having better seasons, but it doesn't look as insane as it did before. And my little understory of this season so far that I'm enjoying, I put out a poll on Twitter last night after the game about this, is the battle between Nick Castellanos and Alec Boehm. Who is going to win the RBI title on this team? It seems like every time Castellanos gets one up on Boehm, next at bat, Boehm drives in two and retakes the lead. Boehm's now up to 56 after Castellanos took it over with 55 last night. It's kind of fun to watch those two guys go back and forth because both of them are obviously guys that are capable of driving in 100 runs.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've seen a lot of people still to this day, complaining about Castellanos. Oh, well, he's not hitting the long ball, this, that, and the third. I'm like, dude, he's a double machine. I don't care. I mean, he's getting on base and he's driving in runs. That's what I get it. He's getting the big fat payday here. He's one of the most expensive players here in Philadelphia. But I get all that. But he's contributing. I mean, big time. And like my broadcaster Mike, I don't know what kind of crystal ball he has. I don't know if he rubs his big fat bald head at night. I don't know what he sees that tells the future because he said, I think Castellanos is going to have a breakout season. I said, dude, I don't know about this. I'm kind of one of those guys. An instant reaction. As soon as I see something, I'm like, that's it. This is who this guy is. And he points out about he pointed out about Castellanos having a good year. He's talking about again, this is last year. He's talking about Jalen Hurts was going to be an MVP caliber. I said, dude, you're nuts. And boy, like I said, I don't know what he's got going through that big fat 44-pound head is, but there's something in there that he could see the future. But anyway, back to the Phils, man. Like I said, Nick Castellanos really, really, has been the bright spot of this team. Again, the workhorse, and rightfully so to the All-Star break. But like I said, the Bryson Stott, the Alec Boehm, especially Bryson Stott, should be an honorable mention at least.
Who's good? Who do you, if you had to pick right now, the poll that I put out there, there's 142 votes. 66% are saying Castellanos, 30% are saying Boehm, and some idiot voted somebody else will win the RBI title for this team. Even though Boehm seems to keep having that lead over Castellanos, you think? I mean, I see Castellanos. I agree with what you said there. He's not a home run guy. He's a doubles machine, but he still drives and runs. He's a guy. I said before the season he was going to have 50 doubles, 20, 22 home runs, and about 100 RBIs, 110 RBIs. Do you think he pulls ahead of Bohm, the way he's playing, or do you think Alec Bohm can keep up this pace? I mean, 56 RBIs through what are we at? 85 games. That's a 100 RBI pace for Alec Bohm right there.
Well, listen, this tight horse race is looking very, very sharp between these two guys. And I'm going to be I don't want to be the mush, but I'm usually the mush to the show. I'm
Okay.
going to say, just for the Castellanos' sake, I'll say Alec Bohm. So this way he doesn't get screwed up. So, but either way, you can't go wrong with any one of these guys. I mean, they're having tremendous seasons. So, I mean, I'm really, really enjoying both these guys. Again, really between him, Alec Bohm, and Bryson Stott, really the three guys you can rely on as far as the hitting and consistency to this lineup.
Yeah, so you mentioned a few moments ago before we got sidetracked there about Bryce Harper. There were actually people that were complaining that Bryce Harper didn't get the All-Star nod over JD Martinez, which I thought was nuts because Bryce Harper's what's it been since mid-May since he hit a home run. He's not driving in the ball. He's a. Where were you in this whole Bryce Harper? Did he come back too soon? Like me, I thought he shouldn't have even if he was ready, he should have sat and just waited till July 1st. There was no need to bring him back so quickly, in my opinion. And if Hoskins didn't get hurt, if Hall didn't get hurt, early in the season, maybe they wouldn't have pushed him. But do you think that it's just simply that, or is there something else bothering?
I think you touched on a lot of things here because to me, I feel like the Phillies, like I said, you're coming up to being your NL East, your NL champions. You just lost your first baseman, who's
Mm-hmm.
known to have your long ball production other than Schwarber. So to me, I felt like the Phillies rushed him up here because don't want to prove last year was some kind of fluke. You don't want to say that this. So I feel like the Phillies rushed him into this position to get him up here at ASAP because they were going to worry they were going to get the same kind of numbers in production back, and that they weren't going to be considered a contender. So but here they are, battling for this wildcard spot, and it's not because of him. And like I said earlier, to me, Bryson Stott, Bryce Harper says, you know what, I'm here. Maybe it's half of him too saying, you know what, I'm fine. I want to get back on, playing baseball. I feel like the other half is them rushing back because they kind of pushed the panic button. So I
Right.
feel like I said, and now you see him, he's swinging at horrible things. I mean, sometimes I see him playing cricket. Sometimes I see him, chasing balls outside the strike zone, up and away. So to me, I'm like, you know what? There's something mentally he's in his mind saying, I'm usually having MVP caliber numbers, and now I can't hit above my weight. So it's just like, he's kind of like, damn if I came back here too soon, damn if I don't. Maybe I should just rest up. I mean, he probably wasn't, and the Phillies probably weren't expecting this kind of production from Nick Castellanos, Bryson Stott, Alec Bohm. They probably figured Alec Bohm from last year, but they probably didn't see this from Bryson Stott and Castellanos being this workhorse that they turn out to be. So, yeah, I definitely feel like they rushed him back here too
Do you
soon.
think any of his struggles? Because there was an at bat. I was watching Sunday's game, and I forget what at bat it was. There was a pitch he swung at. It was like it was a changeup that tailed away from him, but it was so far off the zone. It was like I've never seen or Bryce Harper swing at a pitch that far out of the zone and miss. Like it was bad. But it got me thinking. And do you think anything of this whole first base, him learning first base? I mean, this past weekend, he took not just side practice at first base, he was on full first base, infield, duty, during practice and everything. Do you think any of that's playing? Because personally, I know we got to get Kyle Schwarber out of left field. I know that's a problem there. But are we hampering the offense of this team because maybe the first base practice is taking away some of that time that Bryce Harper spends in the cage to get himself right? Because we know Bryce Harper doesn't hit batting practice on the field often. He's in the cages, in the dugout, in the back there. Maybe he's spending some of that time working on first base, which I think is unnecessary at this point.
Yeah, and it is, and it's very unnecessary for him to be at first base. I get it. You want to get him some fielding duties. I get it. He's not going to be having them run. We all know the injury, but still, like him, and I guess you want to give Alec Bohm a break because he's been playing first and third.
I hate
So
that.
yeah, so you know, and I guess you want to get him into the field as rush him in there, and like you said, they're trying to do something with Kyle Schwarber, and it's, let's be honest, Kyle Schwarber as of late hasn't had the best feeling. And so they need to do something there.
Mhm.
But yeah, Bryce Harper, like I said, they to me, like I said, this is where it goes back to square one of them rushing him back here because he's your MVP caliber player, and they figured, well, if we get him back here, we're going to get the same production back, and we can doesn't show that we're going to be some kind of it does, last year was no some kind of fluke. We can, have some stability of having this kind of career year that he's going to, that he was going to have. But yeah, there's a lot of issues with him. There's a lot of issues with Kyle Schwarber, like you mentioned, his feeling, and he's hot and cold every day.
Yeah.
He is hot and cold every day.
We got to the World Series last year with Kyle Schwarber in left field, pretty much the entire year, with Reese Hoskins, who everybody crushed nonstop as a bad first baseman, and Alec Boehm, who's average. I mean, he's done better. He's gotten better at third base. I think if he was committed full time to third base, we would have seen more of an improvement from him. But we got to the World Series with bad defense. Everyone said you don't need good defense to make a World Series. So why all of a sudden are we worried about Kyle Schwarber in left field that we're forcing something like that, forcing something on Bryce Harper? That's what keeps rolling through my mind
Yeah.
every
Yes.
day. We did it last year, so why are we worried about it so much this year? You know what I mean? So
Right, and I guess this is your typical Philadelphia. I need something to nitpick, and this is one of those things you want to nitpick. The Schwarber feeling as of late has been atrocious, and people are, instead of being okay with it, people automatically want to make a dramatic change to that. Okay, well, we need to put out there, but okay, well, who are we going to put out there? And
right.
and I get it. Kyle Schwarber, like I had the post game, so and somebody brought to my attention, Kyle Schwarber goes 0 for 6 in the leadoff spot. I get all that, but this is still his best leadoff spot because if you put him in that fourth hole, he's only going to clog up the fourth hole. And I get it. You're looking when you get the other guys on base, you're looking for him to come up these grand salamis. I get all that, and I get he's the most power bat on this team. I get. But the realization is this is his most comfortable spot leading off this team. And you see major production. I know, I get it. He led the league, the NL in strikeouts. I get all that. But however, you can't turn your head on the power bats. When he's on, he's on.
Yeah, I mean, I hate Kyle Schwarber in the leadoff spot because it goes everything against everything I was ever taught in the '80s and '90s growing up about
Yes.
baseball. But I understand, like someone was coming at me on Twitter this morning about something I said last night, and they're giving me all the stats about their record and his OPS and everything else in the leadoff spot. They're 21-8 since he's been moved back. I get all the stats. I know all the stats, but I still don't like it. But I accept it because look, the team responds to it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So that's all that matters there. Just accept that he's a bad left fielder. You know what I mean? Like that's all that you have to matter about, and just outscore everybody. I do want to transition real quick. So I want to transition to some of the pitching conversations with this Phillies team. Taijuan Walker didn't have his best stuff last night. Gave up 4 runs, but still pitched really well last night. And I think we've talked about the All-Star game and Castellanos being so far the lone representative. There's an argument to be made for Taijuan Walker All-Star game. There's an argument to be made for, even in a short period of time, Ranger Suarez. There's an argument to be made about Alvarado, even though he spent some time. There's an argument, and the name that has shocked me the most this year pitching-wise, Craig Kimbrell. And I think he should be in the All-Star game this year. I hate any of my pitchers going to the All-Star game because I don't want them pitching in it. I want them getting the 4 days of rest and, getting to the second half. But, man, hasn't Craig Kimbrell been such a bright – like, I didn't know what to expect this year. I definitely did not expect Craig Kimbrell to be one of the top closers in baseball.
It's funny you bring this up, Phil, because again, one of the gray areas I had to this team was the starting pitching, and they were off to a rocky start, and now I don't know if that has to do just coming off a World Series contender, and you're still kind of, you still have some kind of fatigue to that. I don't know. It's the new pitch clock. I know it took Nola a little while. It still takes him a little while to adapt to this new pitch clock and all that stuff. But let's be honest. He's been coming on late again. 12 Ks for him the other day. Taijuan Walker 8 Ks last night. Like I said, he got a little dinged up. He worked himself out of a wedgie, as I like to say, because he's getting all called up and that stuff. But he had a rocky beginning, but he came back to realization. Wheeler's always good for you. Even the bullpen games have been really, really good for you. I mean, you're like, oh, it's a bullpen game, so this is called, it's a throwaway game. And no, like the bullpen game are really, really good. And then, like you said, one guy and I had major concerns just again going off his opening couple weeks. I'm thinking, oh, Greg Kimball, he's going to screw this up. I said, why would they bring in an old veteran player with that crazy pitch that he has? But no, if anything, this man has got you out of jams. This guy has saved a lot of these games. And he, again, one thing about what 3, 4 years ago, one of the major concerns going into a Phillies season was the bullpen. And now
Mhm.
he's been that guy who's been shutting things down for you. So yeah, he's another one who should have been and got that nod to go to the All-Star game.
You mentioned all the starting pitchers basically there, and I want to get your thoughts. I don't know if you followed Destiny Legardo. I think is how you say her name. She writes for Phillies Nation, and she
Okay.
wrote. You talked about the bullpen games, and I keep telling myself we need a fifth starter. We need a fifth starter. About a week or two, she wrote an article, and she did a lot of detailed stats in this article about how teams and fans overvalue that fifth starter. There's a lot of teams that have a bad fifth starter. There's a lot of teams that trade way too much at the deadline to get a fifth starter. And we did it last year. We went out. We got Noah Syndergaard. What did he do? Pitched 3 good games. He was pretty much a non-factor in the playoffs. And I still look at our starting pitching. I still think Nola. I know he's had some good games. He's still inconsistent, and he's a free agent at the end of the season, obviously. Ranger Suarez, Taiwan Walker, Zach Wheeler is who he is. You know, Maybe we don't need to worry so much about that fifth starter spot because it's not just like it's not us. Where everybody has this problem. And if we're going to target pitching, you target a top flight starter that might be available. And maybe you spend a smidge more, but I mean, think of what we spent for Noah Syndergaard last year. You add 1 or 2 more prospects to it, you get a much better, more controllable pitcher that not just is available for the last month and a half, but's available for the next 2 years, and also maybe starts the game in the playoffs. You know what I mean? Like, I guess you didn't catch that article, but the philosophy of
No,
the article. What are your thoughts on that? Because it's something I've been talking a lot about the last couple of weeks, and it's changed my opinion on like I'm not worried about Chris Sanchez today pitching because again it's a fifth start. We just went against a bullpen game last night. Every team does it.
no, and again, Phil, you're absolutely right. Like you look at a lot of these teams when they look at bullpen games, they take it as a throwaway game.
Yeah.
But for the Phils, it's been again a bright spot. Okay, Christopher Sanchez, not bad because he usually could give you at least 5 Ks. So he averages just about that. So you
Mhm.
get that coming out from him. You got Strime that comes out, and by then it's Alvarado who can get you in there. And then, like I said, to wrap things up, is Greg Kimbrell. So
Yeah.
maybe you do add an arm. And maybe you want to see who's got a for sale sign in front of them. Maybe it's you might want to take a look at the Oakland A's, maybe the Nationals. Maybe they got something you might want to pick from, uh, and see what what's their best availability. To because like I said, we're in that driver's seat. We have the Brewers, we have the Giants right, half game out right behind us. So you want to be able to take this team and push it forward, go all chips in. So do like you did last year, add maybe a couple arms here and there to really drive this thing.
Yeah. No, I agree. Um, Real quick though, we got 4 games till the All Star break. Tampa tonight, obviously the final of that. Then 3 games against the Marlins. You got Wheeler, Suarez, and Nola going. In that Marlins series. Since I've got you here, that Marlins series to me is something I've been circling for a few weeks now. Going to the All Star break, they're about 3 games ahead of us. How important is it for the Phillies to come out and not look to the All Star break? Because we see a lot of teams do that. They look to the All Star break, they take the foot off the pedal. To me, it's going to be really telling about what the second half is like, how they wrap this first half up here.
Absolutely agree. Again, we all saw last night. Phillies win 11 on the road again, shattering that 1976 record. Again, I call them the Road Warriors now. But yeah, you go down to Tampa, you take care of business.
Mhm.
Again, you won the series, but it is most important that you take this Marlins, win the series because you have struggled against your division. Again, I mean, we struggle against the Braves, we struggle against the Mets. You beat the Mets because they got a big fat for sale sign. They already threw the white flag in the air. They're done. This is your typical Mets season where they start really hot in April, May, and then by June that season goes down. So they're pretty much cooked. But even still, the Nationals, who you played against, you thought this was going to be a cakewalk. They beat the Padres and the Mariners. So they on the road. So they came in there and they beat us. And again, so the Phillies take care of business outside of this division. They went out to the desert and took care of the Diamondbacks, top team in the NL West. They're taking care of business of the AL East, the Tampa Bay Rays. So now they got to go down. And now they need to win this. They need to have this momentum and beat the Marlins just to satisfy yourself, to say, well, we took care of a top divisional opponent, a team that's been notorious to stick it to us. So if you could take the series against the Marlins, that would make you feel so much more better for the second half of the season.
We got one final Phillies comment. Bryce Harper has never been an All-Star. Has he never been an All-Star? I know.
I thought for sure he was an All-Star, his MVP caliber year, but I could be wrong.
I could be wrong. I mean, Marshawn's never wrong in the comments, man. You might be like that. That'd be kind of crazy. I did say. Remember, we were talking about the MVP. I had Bryce Harper I bet him to win the MVP his MVP year. So another one of my cash tickets right there.
There you go.
Yeah. So we're gonna reset here for a second. This is trending in the AM here on Philadelphia Sports Network. We're at 9 likes here on YouTube, 2 on Facebook, guys. Likes equal views. Likes help the algorithm. Make sure you're sharing this show out. We got Pat Bernard, Edge of Philly Sports, here with me. We spent about 26, 27 minutes to wrap up the Phillies talk. Real quickly, are you confident going into the second half that we will at least, at a minimum, make it back to the playoffs?
Yes.
Yeah, you're confident in that.
I'm feeling confident. I got the red sunglasses on, the red pom poms. I am all in.
You are ready for Red October, are you not?
I'm already there. You know what I mean?
I was looking at the playoff standings this morning, and the 5th seed right now is the Dodgers. That's why I really want this Marlins series. I do want us to move up the playoff. I don't want to backdoor again into that last spot like last year, because there's some really good teams in the NL that I wouldn't want to play in that one game, playoff series there, that short series. So let's go. I like that. So let's transition to Sixers a little bit. There was a little bit of Sixers news yesterday. Obviously, the Sixers have been a hot topic with James Harden, Tobias Harris, all the trade scenarios. Will they be traded? Will they not be? First and foremost, Pat, if you were at the white party with Michael Rubin, would you have been rubbing elbows with the Sixers, or would you have gone up to Ben Affleck or some of the celebrities that were there and rubbing elbows? Where would you have been hanging out? What circle of friends would you have been hanging out at that Michael Rubin party?
Well, I don't know. First of all, I don't know what's going through Michael Rubin. Like, I love, but yeah, I would definitely been rubbing elbows with the Tom Brady's, the Ben Afflecks. I'm sorry, but maybe 10 years ago, James Harden would have been the first guy I would rub elbows with. But after this display of this, what I just saw, I don't know if you would have got an invitation to my party.
Did anybody look more miserable being there than Ben Affleck? Like, I was going through all the pictures and videos, and I just kept going back to the Ben Affleck pictures, and he's like, "Dude, I don't want to be here, man.
Right.
I'm watching the Red Sox right now. I don't want to be here at this party." But he was stuck there anyway.
Not much love for Batman. So he was definitely out of place. But my man looked like you want to talk about someone who didn't belong. My man Ben Affleck looked like he definitely didn't look like he belonged.
That was funny. But anyway, so Sixers, yesterday something came out. It's something, I talk a lot about culture with all the teams, all the Philly sports teams all the time, and reading the room and saying the right things and everything. And obviously Daryl Morey yesterday comes out and posts a picture of himself out in front of the crumble cookie place. And obviously, there's a lot of question marks. We'll use that word, question marks, concern about this Sixers team in this offseason right now. Do you think it was wrong of him? Because I put a post about it out there, and I got 30 different comments, some agreeing with me, some disagreeing with me, that I didn't think it was right for him to be out there trolling the Sixers fans about the crumble cookie stuff with so many questions still looming on what this Sixers team is going to be like after this offseason.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, why would you're already taking shots at your Sixers fans, like the guys who come to support you, and because you're pretty much saying they're nothing but a bunch of casual fans after the Tobias Harris comment. I'm puzzled by that, but
Really
so
puzzled.
I don't know which way he's alluding to, but like I said, still to me, and I've had this argument on my show, like, I don't get it. I totally agree, Eric. Morley is an idiot. I don't get it. I don't understand. Like, and I love Embiid, and he, again, one of the best players, but again, to me, I feel like this was all mirage. We all bought into he was going to be this guy who was going to give us over the hump. But again, this goes back to this Boston Celtics series. This is going to be your third coach, under the Embiid regime.
Mhm.
And now, like, again, you have the guy who in Harden had led the league in assists, but where were those two guys when it counted? When your two mega stars, they were MIA. I don't. I mean, I get it. Okay, the first thing you want to do is fire a coach. I get the whole the sports thing, and the first thing you want to do is move on from a coach. But what does that like? And I'm all about changing coaches for the better. And Nick Nurse has got the resume, all that. He's got the change. But what does it really like? Doc Rivers really, you can blame him if you want, but the pie chart, this wasn't his fault. I mean, it's not his fault that his two megastars didn't show up. He play design, they didn't go to
Yeah.
cordial and follow through. I mean, he didn't do a bad job this year. It's just your two guys didn't show up, so you go the guinea pig route. Well, I got to get rid of the coach. We're going to bring a guy in who has a resume, like. Like I said, everyone talks about Nick Nurse is this kind of guy who likes to kick teeth in. Yeah, but how many coaches have we seen the tough guy role? And guess what? Within a year or two, they're the first two out of here.
Yeah.
So I've seen all that. So again, Doc
As
Rivers.
the casual fans, they actually judge the casual fans buy more tickets. Actually, probably the casual fan. I mean, I
Yes.
the last Sixers game I went to was the Kobe Bryant tribute game after he passed away. So I'm a diehard, and I don't even go that often. The casuals buy more, and our GM
Yes.
is making news for being a troll rather than off-season moves.
Good point.
Obviously, our GM did make a move yesterday, bringing in Mo Bamba. Seven
Yes.
foot,
Yes.
7'10" wingspan center. I didn't realize this. I feel like Mo Bamba has been in this league for like 25 years now. I feel like I've been hearing his name
Yes.
for so
Yes.
25 years old. And my instant reaction was, that's bad news for Paul Reed, and everybody, especially in the comments of this show on a regular basis, are huge Paul Reed fans. But a lot of the comments from the bigger names, the people supposedly smarter than us casual fans, say pull out Paul Reed staying. Thoughts on Mo Bamba? Do you like him? The evolution. I always talk about the evolution of the backup center here in Philly. The next evolution, it went from Montrezl Harrell to now Mo Bamba. Do we like the idea of a Mo Bamba backup?
To me, it was like I said. Paul Reed proved himself. He was more capable to again. He's not going to give these Embiid numbers, but he's more capable of handling himself low in the paint. So that goes to tell me a lot of low management this year for Embiid. So if you're going to bring in Mo Bamba, so my man's going to be facing a lot of low management. So I guess that's okay. I mean, like I said, if you're going to your second, your third, backup centers to order to carry the load for Embiid when he's not there, great. It's kind of move.
Yeah, it does. It fits in because I'm all for the load management. I don't care. He's got his MVP.
Yeah.
Let him play 55, 60 games. Let him average 32 minutes a game. Let him. I said let him be healthy for the playoffs, but everyone said he came up small in the Boston series at the end there. I get that, but maybe some of it was the wear and tear. Maybe it was. We got new coach and upset stars. Let's run it back. Yeah, I mean it makes perfect sense. And then Eric saying Morey and Doc came in. Look, I was against it, Pat. I say it on this show all the time. The day Daryl Morey got hired, there was a picture posted on social media. They were in this office with a big window, picturesque window in the background, and Morey and Doc were at a computer and they were talking. And this picture posted, I'm like, dude, I knew the process ended right there. Like I knew that this was never going to work. This pairing. Eric saying DiVincenzo was the player to get. We've missed out on so many players. But the thing that people don't understand is there were only so many free agents that they could bring in. Unless you're willing to sign a 1 year small deal. The only players we could bring in were bringing in via the trade. In the trades of Tobias or James Harden, because there is no money to spend. So you want DiVincenzo, Marshawn saying go get Kelly Oubre. How? These guys are going to sign 2-3 year deals, more than the $3 million veteran minimum. So you can't get them. What did DiVincenzo get? Like 4 years, 50, 60 million?
Yeah,
there was no money to get DiVincenzo.
And that's why, like, we, not to shift gears, but like, that's why, this summer, talking Flyers has become the sexier thing because, I feel like this, the Sixers thing, it's king, we spent 10 years, 10 years ago, we couldn't get past Boston. So we go through this whole tanking process thinking we're going to get this championship, and we're back to square one. We can't get past the second round of a playoff spot. So,
I mean, I talk about power rankings all the time.
yeah.
In not in the what's the right word? The power rankings of the 5 Philly sports main teams in the funness. We'll just use the word funness. Make up a word for funness. The Sixers might be 5th on that list right now. You know what I mean? Below the Union and the Flyers right now, because at least there's hope with the Flyers and the Union. I mean, I know you cover the Union. You go down the press box. I mean, there's no. They're probably the best team in Philly, honestly. Them and the Eagles, on the field product. So, the Sixers are the least fun team right now. And honestly, as Marshawn says, Furkan Korkmaz, as the roster stands right now, is getting regular minutes on this team next year. Furkan Korkmaz will be averaging 15 minutes a game next year.
The same guy who requested a trade, right? The same guy. Exactly.
It's pretty bad, but but it goes back to the point. There's only so much this team can do, and James Harden has held this team hostage leading up to his deadline of making a decision, and now he's holding this team hostage again by making the decision that he made. So, if you want to blame, you could blame Daryl Morey, you could blame Doc Rivers or not, Joel Embiid or not, Nick Nurse. You could blame a lot of people. But James Harden, to me, still is the problem. I wasn't for him coming here to begin with. I got excited when he came here, but I wasn't for it. He wasn't the biggest problem, but he was a problem. But the way he's handled himself this offseason has pretty much screwed this upcoming season's possibilities. Am I right in saying that?
No, you're absolutely right. Like I enjoyed his game. Okay, great facilitator. Again, led the league in assists. He sees the open play. He takes the shot when he needs to. He can read the defense. He does all those things. But when it came to playoff time, and I don't like to say it, but it was Ben Simmons 2.0. Where were you? You're in back of a milk carton. I couldn't find you anywhere. You stood on the perimeter going like this and that. You really weren't showing much hustle. You were just standing there. I mean, and you're and reigning MVP just looking dazed and confused. But where was like I said, just I don't get the and then like you said, this whole summer of him, I want to get traded. But here goes the news for you. Nobody wants him. And I still believe he's going to be a Sixer here. So again, maybe he's a trouble. I don't know if he's trouble in the locker rooms. I just don't feel like teams want to waste their time. If you're a bad team who wants to, put up a ticket sell, maybe you could bring them in. But I don't think bad teams want to. I think bad teams want to rebuild with fresh, young legs. So I don't. There's really nowhere else for him to go.
Marshall, what's the use of trying to convince James to stay? Powell, Covington, and Banham. Look, anything is better than a disgruntled Harden. I was talking about this yesterday. We didn't do a show yesterday. I had a big pizza order yesterday morning that I had to get in at 6 a.m. for. But I was talking with people yesterday about it, that literally anything, get anything for him. Because you remember how he was in Memphis and Brooklyn. Once he won it out, he still played, but he was extremely disgruntled. You know what I mean? And if you really want fat Harden, what did he look like in Memphis? It looked like he put on like a
yes.
Like that. Like, you don't want that. And they brought up a point on NBA Live yesterday. I tuned in for like 2 minutes. It just happened to be the Sixers segment. And, I guess somebody's saying that James Harden might sit out. James Harden's not going to sit out because he's not going to sit out a season and be a 35-year-old free agent that just sat out a year. He has to play. But disgruntled James Harden playing is worse than just trading him, just cutting him. Just cutting him.
Right.
Better than having disgruntled man playing on the team, right?
Right, and to me, and like I said, James Harden is one of the major problems on this team because, like I said, I don't see who wants him. Like I said, he's going to be here next year. But to me, like you said, Lynch said, who's going to be your perimeter shooting? What's that going to look like? Again, it's just, and you need perimeter shooting like DiVincenzo. Again, you probably couldn't afford him, but still, I mean, you could. You need to make some kind of a splash, and you're bringing Patrick Beverly, and you bring. To me, I'm like,
you got to tell your boy Deebs over at Edge of Philly. Like, you guys are getting all hyped up about the summer league, and he's about all these guys that are going to be playing 15 minutes on the blue coats, and he's getting so hyped up. Like, no, we need real role players, real guys that are actually going to make a difference. Like, we're still trying to win an NBA title. I mean, as long as Joel Embiid and James Harden is here, we're still going to be a contender in the Eastern Conference to an extent. Like, seriously. Like,
Yes.
you got to pump the brakes. I won't watch the summer league because I don't want to get hyped up like he is for that.
Yes.
Freddie a few moments ago said the Flyers are at the beginning of their process. Look, I think the process is more fun than I had more fun watching the 10-win Sixers than I did this current Sixers squad. Like, there's no doubt
Yes.
about it.
Because you again going back to your point, when you're talking about the Sixers during the process, okay, you felt like you could see the light of the end of the tunnel. Like you felt like we're going to get multiple championships. That's what we were feeling. Okay, when we saw the skill set of an Embiid, and then you saw the skill set of a Ben Simmons, are like, wow, this team is destined to bring multiple championships, and we can't even make it past the second round. I'm like,
Like,
again, this,
when you watch a good TV show and there's a long running TV show and there's a character arc, and then the character's arc's finished, and then they have no idea what to do with the character, so they either write him off or they kill him off because there's nothing to do. That's what the Sixers process. The arc's finished, and now it's like, what do you do? I mean, I think that's I just came up with that right on the spot there.
No, that's good, Phil. The Sixers are Sean Bean from Game of Thrones. They chopped off the head, and I don't know what. Oh, now the Game of Thrones guy.
I'm cheap. I don't pay for HBO. Even if he's a fan, neat role players. We do. Like we said, Furkan Korkmaz is going to be playing minutes on this team because we don't have him.
Right.
Turns fan for some reason. The Clippers are not willing to move him, and every Sixers fan wants him. But Marshall, I'm going to say this real quick. Why do we all want Terrence Mann? And I fell for it when I first heard the Clippers. I'm like, I want Terrence Mann. Then I went and looked at his stats. He's 27, and he's no different than any of the other role players, in my opinion. He's just another role player. Send him to Houston. Houston doesn't want him. Houston had $60 million, and they went out and gave Fred VanVleet $130 million instead of trying to get James Harden. As Pat said, there is nobody that wants James Harden right now. Where he's one more bad. Oh, man. I'll never become a Knicks fan.
Wow.
Never become a Knicks fan. No.
No, I get what he's.
Trade it to the Knicks. I won't be a Knicks fan.
Yeah, I get what Eric's saying. I guess because the Knicks are becoming the Villanova 2.0.
Yeah.
So I guess that's where he's going with it. But so.
What would break your heart more? The Knicks, or would it break your heart even more if Jay Wright finally comes out of retirement to coach the Knicks versus the Sixers because of all his former Villanova players there? I know my man Mark, who's always commenting on the show. He's a Villanova grad. He loves his Villanova, and he wants Jay Wright so bad to coach the Sixers. But man, wouldn't that kill Philly?
You would talk about again a Game of Thrones signature move. That would be a stab to the chest like no other. That would draw the sword right here with a lot of Sixer fans. And again, but at least like okay, and I'm not trying, and I don't like the Sixers at all and the Knicks at all, but at least they're slowly having a nice process. They're building along as they're building brick for brick. Okay, they made a surprise run to make it to the run that they had. So again, for a second round for them is not bad. So again, but you see they're building little by little to become something. Also, like we dumped everything out. We brought these couple pieces in. And now I feel like, okay, Nick Nurse, we're going to sell a lot of people on that because he's a hard-nosed coach and he's got a championship on the resume. He's going to do something. I just feel like, no, you're not. I feel like you'll be out here in 2 to 3 years. And that's just me just looking at you overall. And I'm hoping that I'm wrong.
I mean, maybe we're all wrong. Maybe it really was that. Like, I was a very anti-Doc Rivers guy, but I gave him a lot of props this year. I said he had his best year coaching in Philly, his best year coaching for a while. Because his end run in the LA wasn't very good either. But we're also anti-Sixers all of a sudden. They can't make moves. This is going to be the year that they prove us all wrong and run it back, and all of a sudden, here we don't want Joel Embiid to win the MVP. He wins the MVP again, and we make it like it just seems like the complete opposite will happen this year because we're so down on them.
Right, and then, like I said, me being a mush, that probably will happen. But like I said, and I want to, like I said, look at Dame, right? The first team that was on his list for as far as want to be traded wasn't to come here. It was to go to Miami because why? Because Jimmy Butler is a killer, and once Jimmy Butler gets into the playoffs, that's it. That man goes to another level that we can never see. And Dame's like probably looking like he only needs his one counter partner to get him over that hump, and I could be that. Like, his first destination was not to come to Philly, not to come work with Joel Embiid. Why? Because he probably sees the lack of hustle that this guy brings to the table, and he probably doesn't want to work with Harden.
We talked about this a little bit a few weeks ago. it's not like there's no stars. Like Joel Embiid's friends, like you see him rubbing elbows and chatting it up after games. But when was the last time a star said, "I want to go play with Joel"? The players run the NBA. Like if
Yes.
stars want to team up, they team up. You see him and Tatum working out together. It's not like Tatum's asking and forcing his way to play with Joel Embiid in Philly or forcing Joel to come to Boston. Nobody asks to play with Joel Embiid. Is that a problem?
I mean, walking outside the box, yeah. I mean, this is a major problem. Like I never really thought, but nobody knows superstars knocking on the doors and saying, "Hey, I can't wait to go play with a guy like Joel Embiid." Listen, we know he's ball dominant. We know, again, his skill set, but people probably know stuff behind closed doors that you and I don't know about the
Yeah.
guy. And like I said, from what I saw in the playoffs, like, do you really want to play like that, or you rather play with a guy like Joker? Help that guy win multiple championships. So
We were all
it's
so
all
wrong
that.
because of the
Yes.
Joel Embiid, MVP conversation. We all, ignored what was right in front of us. That he was, clearly one of the best players in the NBA, if not, the best player in the NBA at this point. I mean, like he's legit. He
Oh well.
deserved those MVPs. You know what I mean? And now looking back, hindsight's 2020. We were all wrong on him.
Well, exactly. That's why I kind of like, and I was one of those guys. Oh, you don't have the same skill set as Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
Joel Embiid's head and shoulders better than Joker. And great, MVP finally. They didn't snub, Embiid for the Joker for as far as MVP title. But guess what? At the end of the day, the Joker still got the last laugh. You know what I mean? Okay, fine. You have the MVP title. Guess what? I'm still going to have a parade. And I'm going to bring back the real gold. You know what I mean? So really, like the MVP is nice and like okay, nice and to have, but really, he got the last laugh. So
It's crazy
it's
looking back
vain.
at that and how bad it just didn't work out. We'll just say that it just didn't work out, the way we thought. Let's transition. So we're going 47 minutes into this show.
Mm-hmm.
We've covered the Phillies, we've covered the Sixers. We dabbled with a little word on the Flyers there, but let's talk Eagles for a few minutes, and then we'll get into all the stuff that you're doing. We talked this week. We started this week talking concerns. We're all hyped for this Eagles team.
Yes,
We all
yes.
think the Eagles team is going to be great. We're pretty sure, actually. I shouldn't say we hope. We're pretty sure this Eagles team is going to be great. But there's got to be a level. You got to look at the other side of the equation. This week we've been spending a lot of time looking at the other side of the table, the concerns on this team. And we've brought up a few of them. Before I bring up any of the concerns that we've talked about on the show, I want to know if you specifically have any concerns for this Eagles team entering 2023. I want to see if they were on our list that we discussed this week.
Well, my number one would be, will Jalen Hurts play up to that MVP caliber like he did last year? And because that's going to be your whole X factor to the season. Will he have that kind of caliber year that he did last season? Now, no one saw this, again, his season that he had last year, his progressions, all that. Does he take a step back is going to be my number one question, or does he keep this going?
What is success for you at Jalen Hurts individually? Is him maintaining what he? Because again, I was a huge Jalen Hurts guy from his days in Alabama. I've been following his career for a long time, so I expected something. I didn't even expect this much. That jump was. I've tried for months on the show to find an athlete in any sport that took the jump that Jalen Hurts did from 21 to 22. It's impossible to find. But if he maintains that, does that make him? Is that success? Even if he regresses just a smidge, to me, that is almost a successful season because you can't even expect him to take much of a leap. If he takes any leap forward from last year to this year, that means he might be the greatest quarterback of all time because that's how big of a jump he took. So, what success individually for Jalen Hurts look like for you this year?
Individually, I mean, he's got to win the MVP title. He's got to win the chip. I mean, again, he was just shy of that. No, I know a lot of Eagles fans want to blame the turf
Yeah.
and all that stuff and all that, but again, and listen, I can't turn my cheek on you. You had the MVP. You had Patrick Mahomes on the ropes, and you were laying him a beating. Like he's never again that team has never saw a quarterback like Jalen before. So again, if like I said, if he takes as a one little toe backwards, I think that's still a progression. Like I said, I will still be very satisfied of his progression. Again, I was one of those guys who thought Howie Roseman was nuts, but there's a reason why you drafted. You got Howie Roseman. Why everyone's playing checkers. This guy plays chess. He looks at the big. When I was initially, oh, you're going to get rid of my beloved Carson Wentz for this guy. Well, and look, who's Carson Wentz now, right? So
Nope.
anyway, fast forward time, but like I said, this guy has shown progression on all levels. His reads, his escape the pocket, his getting the ball out quickly, all that stuff. And listen, if anything, the Giants did us a favor. Thank you for giving Daniel Jones that big fat long contract, because now Jalen's can snuff and beat them up twice a year. So, but yeah, anyway, I think Jalen is going to have a great successful year this year again.
All right, so some of the concerns we brought up on this show: loss. We did lose 5 starters on defense. We've replaced some of them, haven't others. I'm more concerned about linebacker and safety than others. Some people agree with me. The fact that we're going to be relying on some youth, to replace these veterans. Some of the other concerns are these new coordinators, offense and defensive coordinator, lack of depth at some positions. All are some of the things that are going into this conversation of what we're concerned with, or what we should be, or maybe we should just at least keep an eye on. Out of those, what would you be most concerned about?
Like you said, the growth, the rookies that are going to be coming in, replacing some of the older veterans. But and on the to play devil's advocate with myself, and I'm not too worried about it, because this Eagles front office and Nick Sirianni, and from on down, they just have this good winning culture. They know how to win it. And listen, when just one little hiccup they have, they know how to make the right adjustments. I don't worry about the defensive side of things. I like to see some more pressure and some more sacks. But yeah, I think this team is very, very good on defense.
Pat, I do not think you're drinking. That is not a hard seltzer, is it?
No, this is a Fugazi energy drink from Target.
Oh, I thought it was an Arizona tea or something like that. I mean,
no. I know.
I'm sure Pat's cracked a beer at 9
yes.
o'clock in the morning, but you don't strike as a hard seltzer guy, do you?
No, I'm not a hard seltzer guy at all. But
you're not thinking about iTunes or the White Claws or anything like that.
No. Listen, sorry for the little plug, but anytime you do it, Mike Laro, you do think about putting a couple of hard drinks down. But no, other than that, no, I do not drink at all. So. But no, it's definitely a Fugazi a wannabe thing from Target.
I love that you throw the word Fugazi in there. I think I'm the only one that's ever 20 months of doing this show. I'm the only person that ever used that word on this show. Howie Roseman has come so far. It's crazy. There were so many people, including myself, that wanted to run this guy out of the city 2-3 years ago. I mean, and boy, has this guy turned his image, his relationship with the fans, everything around. It's just like something went off. Like, he was always a good GM, but something went off about how to relate to the fan base. And, again, we talk about Jalen Hurts' ascension. Howie Roseman's turnaround in this city. I mean, it's fantastic.
Yes. He's been again one of the top figures of this city. You have to rank it. Number one is Howie Roseman, and the way he's conduct business. Again, really, you make a Super Bowl run. You make 2 years. You win one Super Bowl. You made it to a Super Bowl. Again, his tenure here. You're gonna look back at it as like, wow, he was one of the greatest GMs that come through this city. I mean, he's really hasn't missed a beat as far as being a productive GM. Again, like I said, a lot of these GMs out here are playing checkers. This dude's out here playing chess.
Dude, I say it all the time. If I saw the 215 call on my phone and I was a GM of another team, I'd be like, instant ignore, because I know it's Howie Roseman about to fleece me in some kind of a deal.
Yes.
And as Marshawn says, I would love Howie to take over the Flyers rebuild. No offense, the Flyers, Dave Briere so far has had a good offseason. Or take over the Sixers. Hell, take over the Phillies. Take over the entire city.
Yes.
Titles. White wine in a Wawa cup. I don't think I've ever done that. I can't say don't. I know I've never put white wine in a Wawa cup before.
No, this is something new to me. Maybe I have to try it.
Yeah, I put red wine in my Yeti before and made it look like I was drinking coffee, but never in the Wawa cup for sure. I'm not a red wine guy.
Joe, that's a brilliant idea, my man. Brilliant.
The binocular meme. I prefer the gif of him running and yelling at the fans along the sideline after the game.
Yes.
That's a good one. All right. Let's transition to the wrap up here, Pat, because you've been gracious to give us an hour this morning. I don't have a real Yeti, honestly, Judd. I have a knockoff Yeti. No, it's not a real one. You guys all know I'm cheap. No, I do not have a real Yeti. I have a Phillies knockoff Walmart Yeti. You know
Yes.
that. Um, uh, well, the $500 super chat, Judd. That's the only way we go overtime. Um, Howie played 3D chess. Yeah, I see Howie playing like I don't know,
Yes.
Big Bang Theory. But isn't there like an episode of the Big Bang Theory where like Sheldon like builds like this new like 4-level chessboard? Like he creates his own chess game that's like 10 times more complicated than chess. I vaguely
Yes.
remember something about that, and I think that's what Howie does. But anyway, Pat, you cover the Union, you cover the Wings, you do wrestling shows. You cover obviously all the other sports too, Phillies, Sixers, Eagles, and all as well. Is there anything you want to mention about some of these other teams and cities, other teams in our city that people aren't paying attention to? The Wings, the Union, whatnot.
Yeah. Well, listen, for those other teams that really don't get really looked and get the honor mention again, I know a lot of us grew up in this 4-for-4 bracket, and we only pay attention to the Sixers, Flyers,
Look at the
Eagles, and
bottom of the
Phillies.
screen. This is a 5-for-5.
Yes.
The Union are
Right.
on
So
the graphic, okay?
yes, pay attention to the Union. Again, they just made a huge trade yesterday. And it's weird. And I joked around. I said, I wonder if KD had with him being part owner. I said, I wonder if he had anything to do with this. So anyway, but anyway, look, the Sixers, the Union are kind of middle of the pack right now. They're winning, but they to me they have a little bit of a problem going on because they have this kid named Julian Carranza who's an expert. But when teams decide to shut him down, they don't really have a plan B into contact. So they need to get some more offensive players to come in there and give him a hand. The Wings, who brought in this kid named Mitch Jones, who is one of the top players in the league. They signed him up again, really produced. The Wings to me are missing a goaltender. He plays. This kid Higgins plays really good. In the first half, second half, he's MIA. So I don't know what's going on. So they're a goaltender away from.
The Union just extended Jim Curtin too, did they not?
Yes, Jim Curtin is getting extended, so you're going to have Jim Curtin for another 3 years. Again, you want to talk about another popular figure in the Philadelphia area. If you're going to go Howie Roseman, but you could go for head coach, Jim Curtin is that guy. Again, he took us to the MLS Cup. Again, just shy of winning us a MLS championship. So again, there's a reason why this guy is still here. He makes all the right adjustments. He knows what's coming at him. He does a lot of film work. Again, I love all the Philadelphia teams in the city.
I love it. So what do you got going on this week on Edge of Philly Sports? You got any Phillies post game shows or?
Yes. Matter of fact, tonight at 9:00, me and my man Austin Hamill, we will be doing a whole hour on the Union, and then tomorrow night at 10 p.m. on Edge of Philly Sports, YouTube, Facebook, whatever. We will be talking Steel Steps for all you pro wrestling fans who want to talk WWE, AEW, Impact. We do it all over there. And then, of course, you catch me Sunday morning with my man Mike Laro and my man Als. He produces the show. We talk all Phillies 4-4. And matter of fact, to give a tidbit to the fans over here, we are going to have since the All-Star game's coming up, we are going to have an All-Star draft with top 10 Philadelphia figures in Philly sports right now. And who's going to push us over the middle. So
WWE, I'll give you my little piece of wrestling knowledge. WWE made the right decision, and Freddie Defo, I know you're a wrestling fan in the comments. They made the right decision not giving the Money in the Bank to LA Knight. That's my hot take of the day right there.
Whoa.
Hot take right there. I've gotten wrestling blogs because of that hot take, just so you know.
Phil, we might have to bring you on the Steel Steps show because you're going to have to explain this because a lot of guys on the show were blossoming and blooming for LA Knight to win this Money in the Bank. And I'm the only one that called that Damian Priest was going to go over.
I thought it was going to be Logan Paul that was going to go over just because of I get what they're doing with Logan Paul. I don't want to get into a long wrestling, but I just think you make somebody like LA Knight hotter by not giving the fans what they want.
Yes, and you've seen that
scenario, the Kofi Kingston scenario. Those scenarios, you make them hotter by not giving them what they want, so that when the payoff comes, it's even better.
Right. And real fast, we can get off the wrestle time. We want to talk about, we will also talk about, we have love and hate relationship going on for Cody Rhodes right now. Is he the guy, or is he getting forced in your face too much? So that's one of the major conversations we're having.
I love it. All right, we're gonna wrap up the show right there. Trending in the AM right here on Philadelphia Sports Network, guys. 10 likes. There have been 15 to 20 of you watching on YouTube, and we got 10 likes on this video. Come on. You got 2 likes on Facebook. Hold on. I knew Freddie would chime in with the wrestling at some point.
Yes.
We won an LA Knight, but I'm okay with Priest. Sure made the world title match interesting, and it's a little exactly. I think it helped so many storylines. LA Knight will get his day. Eli Drake, because I will always call him Eli Drake. But make sure we like this video, guys. Share it out. We'll be back tomorrow here. Again, Pat Bernard. Find him on Edge of Philly Sports on Twitter at Pat86Bernard. Calls himself Pat the Ant from Ambler. I greatly appreciate your time this morning, man. It was great having you on this morning.
Oh, Phil, it's been a tremendous honor to be on this show with you, sir. I had a blast.
So everybody, we'll be back tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Trending in the AM. Like, share, retweet, follow. Like I say, tap the shoulder of the man in front of you at Wawa and tell them, Trending in the AM, the only place where your opinions actually matter. We'll see you guys tomorrow, 8:30 a.m.